I'm here in the KC rental properties, and we're going to talk a bit to an expert about what it's like to move out from basically from where you're living at home, maybe, or you're living with family, and moving out to thinking about getting your first flat or your first house. So what sort of things do people need to think about before they would be thinking about renting, before they would be getting a rent in a flat or renting a house?
Well, the first thing, they have to be 18 years old to sign a contract with, I think, all agencies. So that would be the first stage. They would come into the office, complete application form, bring ID with them. We would let them see a property. If they then decide they wish to apply for the property, we take references on them. If it's just moving from home from the first time, there won't be a current landlord. There will only be employer questionnaire, assuming that they are working. If they are students, we would need confirmation of what course they were doing, and also a bit about the financial situation. It's a bank status inquiry that we normally do for anyone that's in employment or even part-time employment, and quite often students, it's a guarantor, which would be a parent that would be providing the financial backing, you know, completing a form to say that they would stand as guarantor. We would take the bank detail on the parent.
So that's in the event that they couldn't make their monthly rental payments, that there would be someone there to guarantee that the money would be paid because they've entered into a legal contract.
That's correct.
Right.
Yes.
What is the minimum amount of time that you can rent a flat for, your first flat you're coming in?
It's a 6-month term.
6 months.
That's the minimum. Yes.
Okay. Now, do you need to? What are the sort of the startup costs? I mean, when do I pay my first month's rent before I move in? Do I pay it at the end of the month?
You pay your rent when you come in to sign the contract. Now, we do sign-ons from the 1st to the 31st of the month. So if you came in the 5th of the month, that's the day you would pay the rent. The first payment is by cash in the office, and then it is by standing order out of the bank account every month thereafter on the 5th monthly. There is a deposit taken also. Now, if the rent was set at £350, the deposit is £450. It's £100 more than whatever the rental figure is. There are some restrictions in place. If it is a student, it is normally a double deposit that is required. Now, that is obviously a lot of money. It's quite often a parent that has put in the funding. They're looking for their money back, and it's an extra safeguard for landlords. The property is going to be looked after satisfactorily.
So that's for a £350 flat, you'd be looking at 2 months' rents. That's £700 plus another £100, £800. Now, what about, I've managed to get a job, and me and my mate want to move into a flat together. Now, how does that work? Are we both liable for the rent, or is one of us responsible and I to collect the rent from the other person, or how would that work?
It's entirely up to yourself. We have joint contracts. Both parties can sign the lease. It can either come from one bank or it can be split. If it was £400, £200 from each person.
Okay. Now, I know you've properties all over. Now, if I'm thinking about my first job, say I work through in Dundee, can I come into you and say I'm looking for a property near the train station or the railway station and put my name down on a list or something like that, or do I just have to keep coming in to see when one of those property would come up around there?
We don't have a property match facility available, unfortunately, but what happens if anyone comes in and they highlight specific areas they're looking for, we assist them with that. We can then add them to a mailing list, or they can regularly check on our website.
Thank you.